3 empty rows stared back at me at my wedding chapel. My entire family boycotted my happiest day. And then my father texted demanding I pay $8,400 for my brother's wedding by tomorrow morning. And when I sent him $1 instead, he showed up at my door with police. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I will give you a heart. I'm standing in my bridal suite at the lakeside vineyard, standing in this room that smells like lilies and champagne and other people's happiness, and my phone is buzzing in my hand, and the number on screen is my father, is Gerald, is man who just boycotted my wedding ceremony, who just left 3 empty rows in chapel like open wounds, who just made sure every single guest saw that my entire family chose not to be there. And choosing not to be there, that wasn't accident, wasn't oversight. Wasn't them running late or getting lost, was statement, was declaration, was exactly what it looked like, which was them telling me and telling everyone watching that I wasn't worth showing up for. And showing up, that basic act, that minimum gesture of presence, that was apparently too much to ask from people who raised me and raised me. That's generous word, because what they actually did was condition me, was train me, was exactly what I'm starting to understand as I look at this text. Message and text message. That's not congratulations. Isn't you looked beautiful? Isn't we're sorry we missed it? Is demand, is invoice, is exactly what my father sends when he says Tyler's wedding is scheduled for August, says they need $8,400 to secure lakeside venue by tomorrow morning, says since you saved so much money by not having family at your wedding, you'll pay this deposit for your brother. It's only fair, and fair, that word, that's what breaks something in me. Break something that's been bending for 29 years, break something that I didn't know could break. And breaking, that's not right word, because what's happening isn't breaking, is clarifying, is crystallizing, is exactly what occurs when you finally see truth you've been avoiding. And avoiding it, that's what I've been doing, have been pretending that their treatment of me was normal, was acceptable, was just how families work, and working how families work, that's. Not this, isn't demands on wedding day, isn't boycotting ceremony then asking for money, isn't treating me like ATM machine with heartbeat, and heartbeat, mine that's racing now, is pounding in chest, is exactly what I'm aware of as I sit on velvet chaise and bridal suite. And sitting there, that's when decision forms, is when clarity comes, is exactly when I understand that this moment, this text, this demand, this is choice, is fork in road, is exactly what determines whether I spend rest of my life being their resource or whether I become my own person and own person. That's what I've never been, have always been extension of their needs, have always been backup plan for Tyler's failures, have always been exactly what they needed me to be. And being what they need, that's over, is done, is exactly what I decide in that moment. And deciding, that's powerful, is transformative, is exactly what makes me open banking app with hands that are steady, that aren't shaking, that are completely calm, and calm, that's what I am, is what surprises me, is exactly what I feel when I type in transfer amount, an amount that's not $8,400, isn't what they demanded, isn't what they expected, is exactly $1, is one single dollar, is amount that says I received your request and I'm responding, and my response is this is what you're worth to me now, and worth, that calculation that's been made, has been determined, has been exactly what this moment represents, and representing it, that transaction, that's not just about money, is about power, is about control, is about finally taking back something they've been taking from me for decades. And decades, that's how long this has been going on, is pattern that started long before wedding, long before Tyler's entitlement, long before I understood what was happening, and understanding what was happening. That's recent, is new, is exactly what's occurring now as I write memo line. And memo line, that's where I could write essay, could write explanation, could write everything I'm feeling, but instead I write 6 words. Write best wishes for Tyler, you'll need it, and need it, that's accurate, is exactly what they're going to need, is what Tyler's going to discover, is exactly what happens when Golden Child finally has to fund his own life, and funding his own life, that's never happened, has never been required, has been exactly what I've been preventing by being safety net. And safety net, that's what I've been, is role I've played, is exactly what I'm removing by sending this dollar, and sending it, that's what I do, is what I authorize, is exactly what makes screen glow with confirmation, and confirmation that's satisfying, is validating, is exactly what I'm feeling when I hear it, when notification sounds, when transaction completes, and completing it, that's moment, is turning point. is exactly when old relationship ends and new reality begins. And beginning, that's what this is start of something is exactly what I'm processing when I stand up, when I smooth my dress, when I walk back to reception. And reception, that's still going, is still full of people dancing, is exactly where my husband Marcus is waiting. And waiting, he's been patient, has been understanding, has been exactly what my family never was. And never was, that's them, is their limitation, is exactly what I'm leaving behind when I return to dance floor. And dance floor, that's where I belong, is where I'm choosing to be, is exactly where I am when my phone buzzes again and buzzing again. That's my father, is his response, is exactly what I expected, and expecting it. That's wisdom, is understanding pattern, is knowing that he's seen transaction, has seen $1, has understood message, and understanding it. That's making him angry, is making him desperate, is exactly what his text shows when he says, "This isn't funny," says, "You need to send real amount," says Tyler, is counting on this, and counting on this, that's problem, is exactly what I'm addressing by not responding. And not responding, that's boundary, is new behavior, is exactly what I maintain as phone continues buzzing, as messages keep coming, as he tries everything from guilt to threats to manipulation. And manipulation, that's his specialty, has been his tool, has been exactly what I'm no longer susceptible to. And susceptible to it, that's what I was, is what I've been, is exactly what I've stop being in this moment. And moment, this that's powerful, is transformative, is exactly what's changing me as I dance with Marcus, as I smile at guests, as I celebrate wedding that my family chose to boycott. And boycotting it, that was their choice, was their statement, was exactly what's allowing me to make mine. And making mine, that's what I'm doing, is what's happening, is exactly what continues when reception ends. When we drive home, when we arrive at house that's supposed to be mine, and supposed to be mine, that's interesting phrase, because what I discover, what I find, what I see when we walk into kitchen, that changes everything. And changing everything, that's what happens when I see key on counter. And key on counter, that's not just any key, is my father's spare key, is key he made me give him when he co-signed mortgage, is exactly what he's just used to enter my house. And entering my house, that's what he did, is what he had audacity to do, is exactly what's revealed by key sitting on granite countertop like accusation. And accusation, that's what it is violation, is exactly what makes everything clear. And clear, that's what becomes, is understanding that this isn't just about money, isn't just about wedding, is about control, is about access, is about him believing he has right to my space. And right to my space, that's what he thinks he has, is what co-signing mortgage gave him in his mind, is exactly what I'm about to revoke. And revoking it, that's what I do, is what I decide, is exactly what makes me pick up phone at 11 p.m. on my wedding night. And wedding night, that's supposed to be about romance, about celebration, about beginning of marriage. But beginning of marriage, mine, that includes this moment, includes this decision, includes exactly what I do when I call 24-hour locksmith. And locksmith, that's professional, is person who arrives at midnight, is exactly who I'm waiting for when Marcus asks if I'm sure. And sure I am completely certain, am exactly as sure as I've ever been about anything. And anything, this, that's everything, is reclaiming my space, is taking back my home, is exactly what happens when locksmith arrives, when he starts drilling, when sound of metal grinding fills foyer and filling foyer. That sound, that's music, is symphony, is exactly what I want to hear. And hearing it, that's satisfying, is powerful, is exactly what makes this feel real. And real, that's what this is actual change, is physical manifestation of boundary. And boundary, that's what new locks represent, is what they symbolize, is exactly what they enforce. And enforcing it, that's what's happening, is what's occurring, is exactly what's complete by 2 a.m. And 2 a.m., that's when locksmith hands me ring of new brass keys. And new brass keys, those, I hold them, feel their weight, understand their significance. And significance, that's profound, is meaningful, is exactly what makes me feel like I'm breathing differently. And breathing differently, that's accurate, because air in house, my house, that feels different now, feels cleaner, feels like it's actually mine. And actually mine, that's new sensation, is unfamiliar feeling, is exactly what I'm experiencing for first time in 3 years. And 3 years, that's how long I've had this house, is how long my father has had key, is exactly how long I've been living in space. That wasn't completely my own, and my own, now it is finally mine, is exactly what those new locks represent. And representing that they're not just metal, aren't just security, our statement, our declaration, are exactly what I need them to be. And needing them to be, that's about safety, is about autonomy, is about finally finally having space where he can't just appear, and appearing, that's what he's done, has done throughout my life, has been exactly what these locks prevent. And preventing it, that's power, is control, is exactly what I'm claiming, and claiming it, that's not selfish, isn't cruel, isn't anything except necessary. And necessary, that's what this is what this moment represents, is exactly what I understand as I gather old keys. And old keys, those, I collect them, hold them, look at them, and looking at them, that's seeing past, is acknowledging what was, is exactly what I do before dropping them in trash. And trash, that's where they go, is where they belong, is exactly where I put them, along with key my father left on counter. And counter, that granite surface, that's where his key had been, is where he'd left it, like message. And message, that was about power, was about reminding me he had access, was exactly what's being answered by my message. And my message, that's new locks, is trash can with old keys, is exactly what I'm communicating. And communicating it, that's clear, is unambiguous, is exactly what he's going to understand when he tries to use his key and discovers it doesn't work. And doesn't work, that's what's going to happen, is what's going to occur, is exactly what I'm imagining as I go to bed. And going to bed, that's what I do, is lying down next to Marcus, is exactly what I'm doing when sleep comes. And sleep, that comes easily, comes peacefully, comes exactly as it should. And should, that's interesting, because what should have happened, what I should be feeling, that's according to their rules, according to their expectations, according to exactly what they've trained me to feel. And trained me to feel, that's guilt, is shame, is regret. But feeling those things, that's not happening, isn't occurring, isn't anywhere in my experience. And experience, mine, that's peaceful, is calm, is exactly what surprises me. And surprising me, that peace, that's telling me something, is revealing something, is exactly what confirms I made right choice. And right choice, that's protecting myself, is establishing boundaries, is exactly what I'm going to continue doing. And continuing doing, that's commitment, is decision, is exactly what next morning requires. And requiring it, that's what happens, is what I discover, is exactly what unfolds when I wake up and start thinking about what just happened. And what just happened, that's not just wedding, isn't just $1, isn't just new locks, is shift, is transformation, is exactly what I need to understand fully. And understanding fully, that requires looking back, requires examining history, requires exactly what I do next. And doing next, that's audit, is accounting, is exactly what I'm about to undertake. And undertaking it, that's necessary, is crucial, is exactly what's required to understand how we got here. And getting here, that's been journey, has been decades, has been exactly what I need to examine. And examining it, that's what I'm going to do, is what's necessary, is exactly what happens when I start pulling out old records. And old records, those, I have them, kept them, saved them. And saving them, that's been strategic, has been intentional, has been exactly what's about to prove useful. And proving useful, that's what they're going to be, is what they're going to demonstrate, is exactly what's going to show pattern. And pattern, that's what this is, has always been, has been exactly what I'm about to document. And documenting it, that's not about revenge, is about clarity, is about understanding exactly what happened. And what happened, that's systematic exploitation, is decades of using me, is exactly what I'm about to prove to myself. And proving to myself, that's what I need, is what's necessary, is exactly what's going to allow me to maintain these boundaries. And maintaining them, that's going to be tested, is going to be challenged, is exactly what's about to happen in ways I can't yet imagine. And can't yet imagine, that's true, because what's coming, what's about to occur, what my father is about to do, that's beyond anything I've anticipated, is worse than I've expected, is exactly what's going to reveal just how far he's willing to go to maintain control. And maintaining control, that's what this has always been about, is what he's always required, is exactly what he's about to fight for. And fighting for it, that's what he's going to do, is what's coming next, is exactly what I'm about to face. And facing it, that's going to require everything I have, is going to demand every bit of strength, is exactly what's going to test whether these boundaries hold. And holding those boundaries, that's question, is test, is exactly what's about to be answered. The morning after my wedding, the morning after I changed the locks, the morning after I sent my father $1 instead of $8,400, I'm sitting at my kitchen table in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm surrounded by papers, by old notebooks from paramedic training, by bank statements I've kept for years, by receipts I've saved in folders labeled by year. And folders, those, They're revealing something, are showing pattern, are exactly what I need to see to understand how we got here. And getting here, that's been process, has been decades, has been exactly what these documents prove. And proving it, that's what I'm doing, is creating timeline, is building case not for court, but for myself. And for myself, that's important, is crucial, is exactly what I need to maintain boundaries. I just established, and establishing them, that's what I did, is what new locks represent, is exactly what my father is about to challenge. And challenging them, that's coming, is inevitable, is exactly what I'm preparing for as I look at first document. And first document, that's tuition bill from community college, is from 6 years ago, is exactly when my father offered to help with paramedic training. And help, that word, that's what he called it, said he wanted to help, said he was proud of me, said he'd pay for first semester. And first semester, that cost $12,350, and $50, that's exact amount, is number I remember, is exactly what he paid. And paying it, that's what he did, is what he held over me for next 3 years, is exactly what became weapon. And weapon, that's accurate word, because what he gave as gift he wielded as control. And control, that's what it bought him, is what it purchased, is exactly what it was designed to do. And designed to do, that's manipulation, is strategy, is exactly what I'm seeing clearly now. And seeing clearly, that's new, is recent, is exactly what distance provides. And distance, that's what I have now, is what boundaries create, is exactly what allows me to see that $12,350, that wasn't generosity, was down payment on my compliance. And compliance, that's what he expected, is what he demanded, is exactly what he got for 3 years. And 3 years, that's how long it took me to finish training, is how long I worked 3 jobs, is exactly how long I paid for remaining semesters myself. And myself, that's who paid, is who sacrificed, is exactly who worked overnight shifts at hospital, waited tables on weekends, drove for rideshare service between classes and classes. Those I attended exhausted, attended overwhelmed, attended exactly as designed, because exhausted people don't have energy to establish boundaries. And boundaries, that's what he was preventing, is what he was managing, is exactly what that $12,350 was buying. And buying it, that's what he thought he was doing, is what he believed he'd secured, is exactly what I'm about to show him he didn't actually purchase. And purchasing, that's transactional, is exactly how he's always thought about family. And family, that word, that's supposed to mean love, is supposed to mean support, is exactly what he's turned into ledger. And ledger, that's what this is what I'm looking at, is exactly what next document shows. And next document, that's loan repayment schedule I created myself, is spreadsheet I made calculating exactly what I owed. And owed, that's word I used, is how I thought about it, is exactly what I believed until recently. And recently, that's when I understood, is when I recognized, is exactly when I calculated that I don't owe him anything. And anything, nothing, because gift with strings isn't gift, is loan. And loan, that's what this was, is what he made it, is exactly what I repaid 6 months ago. And 6 months ago, that's when I sent final check, is when I included letter, is exactly when I wrote paid in full with interest calculated at market rate. And market rate, that's what I used, is standard percentage, is exactly what made total $13,872.72. That's interest, is what fairness required, is exactly what I paid despite him never asking for it. And asking for it, that's because in his mind, debt wasn't financial, was emotional, was exactly what couldn't be repaid, because he kept changing terms and changing terms. That's what he did. Would say I'd paid enough, then later would say I was ungrateful, would acknowledge payment, then would reference sacrifice he'd made, would accept money, then would act like it never happened. And never happened, that's gaslighting, is manipulation, is exactly what these documents prove. And proving it, that's what this audit is accomplishing, is what this examination is revealing, is exactly what I'm seeing in third document. And third document, that's different, is about Tyler, is exactly what shows favoritism in numbers. And numbers, those don't lie, can't be reinterpreted, can't be explained away. And explained away, that's what my father would try to do. Would say Tyler needed more help, would claim Tyler had different challenges, would justify exactly what these numbers reveal as systematic preference. And preference, that's visible in truck title, is documented in registration, is exactly what shows my father bought Tyler brand new Ford F-150 when he turned 21. And 21, that's age, is milestone, is exactly when Tyler got $35,000 truck paid in cash. and cash. That's how my father paid, is how he bought it, is exactly what he did while I was driving sedan with failing transmission and failing transmission. That's what I had, is what I drove for 2 more years, is exactly what I was told I couldn't get help with and help with. That's what I asked for, is what I was denied, is exactly what my father said. When I mentioned truck and mentioned truck, that's when he looked at me, is when his face went hard, is exactly when he said Tyler has future he needs to build, and future. Tyler's, that's what mattered, is what was worth investing in, is exactly what my father said before adding you're a girl. Catherine, you'll just get married and let someone else take care of you. Stop being so sensitive and sensitive. That word, that's dismissal, is invalidation, is exactly what he said when I pointed out. Inequality and inequality, that's what this was, is what these documents prove, is exactly what I'm looking at in black and white, and black and white, that's clarity, is evidence, is exactly what can't be argued with and argued with. That's what he tried to do, would try to reframe, would try to justify, would try exactly what doesn't work against documentation, and documentation, that's what I have, is what I've built, is exactly what next page shows, and next page, that's list, is accounting, is exactly what I've tracked and tracked. That's every time I gave them money, is every emergency I funded, is exactly what totals up to something significant, and significant, that's understatement, because what I'm looking at, what these numbers show, what this pattern reveals, that's me funding their lives for decade and decade, that's 10 years, is time between age 19 and 29, is exactly when I gave the money for car repair, for home improvement, for Tyler's security deposit, for medical bills, for kitchen renovation, for truck payment when Tyler couldn't make it, for everything, and everything, that's accurate word, is comprehensive term, is exactly what this list shows, and showing that's purpose, is what audit accomplishes, is exactly what makes total clear, and total. That's $294,000, and $1,000, that amount, that's not typo, is an error, is exactly what I gave them over 10 years, and 10 years, that's decade of my income, is decade of my sacrifice, is exactly what I'm staring at, and staring at it, that's making something clear, is revealing something important, is exactly what's showing me that this wasn't family, was extraction, was exactly what my therapist called it, and therapist, that's who I started seeing 2 months ago, is professional who helped me see patterns, is exactly who said financial abuse, and abuse, that word, that's what she called it, is what she named it, is exactly what I resisted at first, and resisted it. That's because abuse sounds dramatic, sounds extreme, sounds exactly like something that happens to other people, and other people, that's what I thought, is what I believed, is exactly what I'm understanding is wrong, and wrong, that belief, that's what these numbers disprove, is what this evidence contradicts, is exactly what $294,000 demonstrates, and demonstrates that's abuse, is exploitation, is exactly what happened to me, and happened to me, that's past tense now, is over now, is exactly what I'm ending, and ending it, that's what new locks represent, is what $1 symbolizes, is exactly what I'm committing to, and committing to it, that's requiring strength, is demanding clarity, is exactly what this audit provides, and providing it, that's purpose, is function, is exactly what's allowing me to see clearly, and seeing clearly, that's necessary, is crucial, is exactly what I need when my phone rings, and phone rings, that's happening now, is occurring as I'm looking at documents, is exactly when I see name on screen, and name, that's Gerald, is my father, is exactly who I'm not surprised to hear from, and hearing from, that's what's happening, is what's inevitable, is exactly what I answer, and answering, that's strategic, is intentional, is exactly what I do when I say hello, and hello, that's neutral, is calm, is exactly what makes him angrier, and angrier, that's what he is what his voice shows, is exactly what he demonstrates when he says what the hell is wrong with you and wrong with me, that's his question, is his framing, is exactly what reveals his perspective, and perspective, that's distorted, is manipulative, is exactly what I'm not engaging with, and engaging with it, that's what I don't do, is what I refuse, is exactly what makes him continue, and continuing, that's what he does. Says you sent $1, says that's insulting, says Tyler is counting on this money and counting on it, that's problem, is exactly what I address when I say Tyler should have saved for his own wedding, that's responsibility, is what adults do, is exactly what I'm saying calmly, and calmly, that's my tone, is my demeanor, is exactly what's making him more frustrated, and frustrated, that's what he's getting, is what my calm is creating, is exactly what he shows when he says, After everything I've done for you and everything, that phrase, that's trigger, is manipulation, is exactly what I'm prepared for and prepared for it. That's what audit did, is what documentation provides, is exactly what allows me to say you paid for one semester 6 years ago. I repaid you with interest. The account is settled, and settled, that word, that's final, is definitive, is exactly what he can't accept. And accepting it, that's what he won't do, is what he refuses, is exactly what. He demonstrates when he says you're being selfish, says you're forgetting family, says I co-signed your mortgage, and mortgage, that's interesting, is telling, is exactly what reveals his thinking, and thinking, that's transactional, sees co-signing as purchase, sees help as ownership, and ownership, that's what he thinks he has, is what co-signing gave him, is exactly what I address when I say you co-signed 3 years ago. I refinanced in my name alone last month. You have no claim to. This house and claim, that's what he thought he had, is what he's just discovered he doesn't have, is exactly what makes him go quiet and quiet. That silence, that's him processing, is him understanding, is exactly what precedes his next statement, and next statement, that's different, is shift, is exactly what he says when his voice changes and changes, that's from angry to cold, is from demanding to threatening, is exactly what I hear when he says you're going to regret this, and regret. That word, that's threat, is promise, is exactly what he means, and means it, that's clear, is obvious, is exactly what I understand when call ends, and ends, that's him hanging up, is him making choice, is exactly what happens before I can respond, and respond, that's what I would have done, is what I was prepared to do, is exactly what I don't get chance to do. Because line is dead, and dead, that's how it sounds, is how it feels, is exactly what that relationship is, and relationship, that's over, is done, is exactly what I'm accepting, and accepting it, that's healthy, is necessary, is exactly what I'm doing when I look back at documents, and documents, those, they're still here, are still showing pattern, are exactly what's giving me strength, and strength, that's what I need, is what's required, is exactly what I'm going to need more of, because what's coming, what my father is about to do, what he's planning right now, that's worse than I imagine, is more extreme than I expect, is exactly what's going to test everything, and testing everything, that's what's about to happen, is what's approaching, is exactly what arrives 6 days later, and 6 days later, that's when it comes, is when mailbox contains something unexpected, is exactly when everything escalates, and escalating, that's what this is what my father has chosen, is exactly what the envelope represents, an envelope, that's thick, is official, is exactly what I'm looking at, and looking at it, that's making my hands shake, is making my heart race, is exactly what's happening when I open it, and opening it, that's revealing document, is showing summons, is exactly what says I'm being sued, and sued, that's what's happening, is what my father has done, is exactly what the papers announce, and announcing it, that's what they do, is what legal language states, is exactly what claims I stole $16,800 from my mother's life insurance, and life insurance, that's money, is policy, is exactly what he's claiming I took, and took, that's his allegation, is his claim, is exactly what the lawsuit states, and stating it, that's not just about money, is about my license, is about my career, is about exactly what he's attacking, and attacking, that's what this is assault, is exactly what he's doing by claiming I used medical credentials to forge signatures, and signatures, that's what he's claiming I forged, is what he's saying I faked, is exactly what would destroy my paramedic license, if proven and proven, that's what he's trying to do, is what this lawsuit is designed to accomplish, is exactly what shows me how far he'll go. And how far, that's question, is measurement, is exactly what I'm understanding is limitless, and limitless, that's his cruelty, is his willingness to destroy me, is exactly what this moment reveals. And revealing it, that's what lawsuit does, is showing me truth, is exactly what I needed to see, and seeing it, that's painful, is devastating, is exactly what's also clarifying, and clarifying, that's what this does, is removing any doubt, is exactly what eliminates any question about whether I made right choice, and right choice, that was boundaries, was locks, was exactly what I did, and did, that's past tense, is decision made, is exactly what I'm standing by, and standing by it, that's what I'm doing, is what's required, is exactly what happens when I pick up phone, and phone, that's device, is tool, is exactly what I used to call lawyer, and lawyer, that's who I need, is who this situation requires, is exactly who I'm about to hire, and hiring, that's what I do, is what's necessary, is exactly what this fight demands, and fight, that's what this is what my father has started, is exactly what I'm going to finish. I need to pause here because I need you to understand something crucial about what's happening. Type weaponized if your family has ever used your career against you. Type lawsuit if they've ever taken you to court to maintain control. Because what my father just did, what he's attempting, that's not unique. Is pattern that happens when narcissistic parents lose control. Is exactly what occurs when person they've been exploiting establishes boundaries. And boundaries, those are threat to them, are danger to their system, are exactly what they'll destroy you to eliminate. And from our stats, we've got way more viewers than subscribers. If you're following this story, if you recognize this pattern, if you've been the family ATM who finally closed the account, kindly join our community and subscribe, because what happens next, what this lawsuit reveals, what my father doesn't know I have, that's coming is building, is exactly what you need to see, and seeing it, that's justice, is vindication, is exactly what happens when you document everything. The lawsuit sits on my kitchen table like a live grenade. Sits there for 3 days while I'm processing what it means, what it's designed to do, what it reveals about how far my father is willing to go to maintain control. And control, that's what this is about, isn't about money, isn't about insurance policy, is about him reasserting dominance. And dominance, that's what he's losing, is what boundaries threaten, is exactly what he's fighting to keep. And keeping it, that's what lawsuit is. Designed to accomplish, is what he thinks will happen, is exactly what he's miscalculated, and miscalculating, that's what he's done, is error he's made, is exactly what I'm about to prove. And proving it, that requires lawyer, requires strategy, requires exactly what I'm building as I sit in office of Amanda Pierce. And Amanda Pierce, that's attorney I found, is lawyer who specializes in family law and defamation, is exactly who I need. And needing her, that's what this moment requires, is what fighting back demands, is exactly what I'm doing when I show her lawsuit. And lawsuit, that document, she reads it carefully, reads it twice, reads it exactly as lawyers should. And should, that's professional, is thorough, is exactly what she does before looking up at me. And looking up, that's when she speaks, is when she says this is aggressive. And aggressive, that's understatement, is lawyers speak, is exactly what means this is unusual, this is extreme, this is exactly what abusive parents do when they're losing control. And losing control, that's what's happening, is what my father is experiencing, is exactly what makes him dangerous. And dangerous, that's what Amanda calls it. Says your father is trying to destroy your career. Says he's not just coming for money, he's coming for your license. And license, mine, that's paramedic certification, is career I built, is exactly what would be suspended if these allegations were believed. And believed, that's what he's counting on, is what he's hoping for, is exactly what he thinks will happen. And happening, that's what he expects, is what he's planned for, is exactly what he doesn't understand won't occur. And won't occur, that's because I have something, have documentation, have exactly what he doesn't know exists. And exists, that's evidence, is proof, is exactly what I show Amanda next. And next, that's GPS logs from ambulance, is dispatch records from nights in question, is exactly what proves I wasn't where he claims I was. And claims I was, that's at hospital with my mother, is at her bedside forging signatures, is exactly where lawsuit says I was on 3 specific dates. And specific dates, those are listed, are documented in his filing, are exactly what's going to destroy his case. And destroying his case, that's what my evidence does, is what GPS logs prove, is exactly what shows that on night of September 14th, the night he claims I forged for a signature, I was 53 miles away, responding to cardiac arrest. And cardiac arrest, that's emergency, is call I remember, is exactly what dispatch records confirm. And confirming it, that's what federal satellite data does, is what GPS tracking proves, is exactly what makes his allegation impossible. And impossible, that's what his claim is provably false, is exactly what Amanda is seeing. And seeing it, that's making her smile, is making her lean forward, is exactly what makes her say this is good, this is very good. And good, that's evaluation, is professional assessment, is exactly what tells me we have chance. And chance, that's what I need, is what I'm hoping for, is exactly what Amanda says is more than chance. And more than chance, that's certainty, is guarantee, is exactly what she explains when she says, Catherine, this isn't just defense, this is counterclaim. And counterclaim, that word, that's new, is concept I haven't considered, is exactly what she explains means suing him back. And suing him back, that's option, is possibility, is exactly what she recommends. And recommends, that's her professional advice, is what she suggests, is exactly what she says we should do, and doing it, that's what I authorize, is what I approve, is exactly what happens when I say yes, do it, and do it, that's instruction, is permission, is exactly what Amanda needs to proceed, and proceeding, that's what she does, is filing response, is exactly what happens over next 2 weeks, and 2 weeks, that's time it. Takes is period for preparation, is exactly when Amanda builds case, and building case, that's what she's doing, is what I'm helping with, is exactly what requires me to gather more evidence and more evidence. That's what I have, is what I've been keeping, is exactly what next revelation shows, and next revelation that's bigger, is more significant, is exactly what I discover when I'm going through my mother's papers, and mother's papers, those, I have them, kept them after she died, saved them exactly for this reason, and this reason, that's protection, is evidence, is exactly what I'm finding in box labeled Rebecca 2019, and 2019, that's year she died, is year she passed, is exactly when these papers are from, and from, that's hospital, is hospice, is exactly where I find document, and document, that's authorization, is power of attorney, is exactly what my mother signed, giving me medical and financial authority, and authority, that's legal, is documented, is exactly what proves I had right to make decisions, and decisions, those, I made them legally, made them exactly as authorized, and authorized, that's what this document proves, is what signature shows, is exactly what's notarized, and notarized, that's official, is legal, is exactly what makes my father's claim ridiculous. And ridiculous, that's what it is what Amanda says, is exactly what she calls it when I show her power of attorney, and power of attorney, that document, that changes everything, makes his lawsuit frivolous, makes his allegations false, makes his entire case exactly what Amanda calls malicious prosecution. And malicious prosecution, that's legal term, is serious accusation, is exactly what we're about to prove, and proving it, that's what Amanda does, is what she files, is exactly what response contains, and contains, that's my evidence, is GPS logs, is power of attorney, is everything that proves his claims are false, and false, those claims, they're not just wrong, are intentionally wrong, are exactly what constitutes fraud, and fraud, that's what he's committed, is what he's done, is exactly what we're about to expose, and exposing it, that's what happens, is what's coming, is exactly what occurs when we file counterclaim, and counterclaim, that's document, is legal filing, is exactly what accuses him of defamation, of fraud, of exactly what he's actually done, and actually done, that's theft, is forgery, is exactly what Amanda has discovered, and discovered, that's what she found, is what her investigator uncovered, is exactly what next piece of evidence shows, and shows, that's bank records, is transaction history, is exactly what proves $16,800, the amount he claims I stole. That's exact amount withdrawn from account 3 months ago, and 3 months ago. That's timing, is when it happened, is exactly when Tyler needed deposit for wedding photographer, and wedding photographer, that's expense, is cost, is exactly what Tyler paid using money from account, and account, that's my mother's, is insurance payout, is exactly what my father accessed using forged signatures, and forged signatures, those, there, his are what he created, are exactly what handwriting analysis proves, and proves, that's what expert does, is what forensic examination shows, is exactly what report states, and states, that's in writing, is documented, is exactly what says signatures on withdrawal forms don't match my handwriting, do match my father's, are exactly what proves he's the forger, and forger, that's him, is my father, is exactly what he's been all along, and along, that's this whole time, his entire lawsuit is exactly what was projection, and projection, that psychological term, is what abusers do, is exactly what my father did by accusing me of crime he committed, and committed, that's what he did, is what evidence proves, is exactly what makes his lawsuit not just false, but criminal, and criminal, that's serious, is legal jeopardy, is exactly what he's facing, and facing, that's what he's about to do, is what's coming, is exactly what happens when court date arrives, and arrives, that's 8 weeks after lawsuit was filed, is 2 months of preparation, is exactly when we walk into courthouse, and courthouse, that's Wayne County, is Michigan, is exactly where this takes place, and takes place, that's hearing, is moment, is exactly when everything comes together, and together, that's evidence, is testimony, is exactly what unfolds, and unfolding, that's what I'm about to witness, is what's about to happen, is exactly what begins when judge enters, and enters, that's Judge Patricia Morrison, is woman in her 60s, is exactly who presides, and presides, that's her role, is her authority, is exactly what she exercises when she calls case, and calls case, that's a legal procedure, is beginning, is exactly when my father's lawyer stands, and stands, that's him presenting, is him arguing, is exactly what he does poorly, and poorly, that's because he has no evidence, has no proof, has exactly nothing except allegations, and allegations, they're not evidence, aren't proof, aren't anything except words, and words, they don't matter without documentation, and documentation, that's what we have, is what Amanda presents, is exactly what she does when her turn comes, that's her standing, is her approaching bench, is exactly when she says, Your Honor, I'd like to present GPS logs, and GPS logs, she submits them, gives them to judge, gives them to opposing counsel, gives them exactly as required, and required, that's procedure, is protocol, is exactly what she follows, and follows, that's her presenting power of attorney, is her showing bank records, is exactly what she does methodically, and methodically, that's her approach, is her strategy, is exactly what's devastating, and devastating, that's what this is what I'm watching, is exactly what's happening to my father, and father, mine, he's sitting across aisle, is looking smaller somehow, is exactly what I notice, and notice, that's what I do, is seeing him clearly, is exactly what this moment allows, and allows, that's perspective, is clarity, is exactly what I have when Amanda presents final piece of evidence, and final piece, that's pawn shop receipt, is document showing Tyler pawned something, sold something, used something exactly for deposit, and deposit, that's wedding photographer, is what $16,800 paid for, is exactly what receipt proves, and proves. That's what it does, is showing transaction, is exactly what demonstrates Tyler was involved, and involved, that's complicit, is participating, is exactly what makes this worse and worse. That's what judge says, is words she uses, is exactly what she states when she reviews evidence, and reviews it. That's what she does, is reading carefully, is exactly what takes 20 minutes, and 20 minutes, that's silence, is waiting, is exactly what feels eternal, and eternal, that's how long it seems, is how long we sit, is exactly how long before judge looks up and looks up. That's her finishing, is her deciding, is exactly when she speaks, and speaks, that's her ruling, is her judgment, is exactly what she says when she addresses my father's lawyer, and lawyer, that's attorney named Robert Chin, is man who looks uncomfortable, is exactly who judge addresses, and addresses, that's her saying this lawsuit is frivolous, and frivolous, that's legal term, is serious designation, is exactly what means case has no merit, and merit, that's what it lacks, is what it never had, is exactly what judge continues explaining and explaining. That's what she does, is saying evidence presented by defendant, by me, that proves conclusively that allegations are false, and false. Those allegations, they're not just incorrect, are provably wrong, are exactly what constitutes malicious prosecution, and malicious prosecution, that's what judge says, is term she uses, is exactly what she rules, and rules, that's her decision, is her judgment, is exactly what she states when she says case dismissed with prejudice, and prejudice, that's legal. Term is important designation, is exactly what means case can't be refiled, and refiled, that can't happen, is permanently dismissed, is exactly what this ruling accomplishes, and accomplishing, that's what it does, is ending lawsuit, is exactly what makes my father's face go pale, and pale, that's color, is shade, is exactly what I see when judge continues, and continues, that's her not finished, is her having more to say, is exactly what she does when she addresses my father directly. And directly, that's unusual, is significant, is exactly what makes everyone pay attention, and attention, that's what we're giving, is what room provides, is exactly what judge receives when she says, Mr. Henderson, what you've done here is serious, and serious, that's her tone, is her emphasis, is exactly what she means when she explains that filing false claims, that forging signatures, that using court system to harass daughter. Those are crimes, and crimes, that's what she calls them, is what she labels them, is exactly what she says before announcing, and announcing, that's her decision, is her action, is exactly what she does when she says, I'm referring this matter to prosecutor's office, and prosecutor's office. That's criminal, is serious, is exactly what makes my father stand up, and stand up, that's him moving, is him trying to speak, is exactly what judge stops, and stops. That's her saying, sit down, Mr. Henderson, and sit down, that's command, is order, is exactly what he does, and does, that's obeying, is complying, is exactly what he has no choice but to do. and do. That sit there is listen is exactly what he's forced to do as judge continues and continues. That's her explaining, is her detailing, is exactly what she says about evidence of forgery, about theft, about exactly what he did and did. That stealing is forging, is exactly what's now criminal matter. And criminal matter, that's serious, is life-changing, is exactly what I'm watching unfold. And unfolding, that's this moment, is this revelation, is exactly what's happening when judge finishes, that's her final statement, is her concluding remarks, is exactly when she says furthermore, defendant's counterclaim for defamation and malicious prosecution is granted. Plaintiff, that's my father, is ordered to pay defendant's legal fees, and legal fees, that's money, is restitution, is exactly what amounts to $35,000 and $35,000. That's what Amanda charged, is what this cost, is exactly what he now has to pay, and pay, that's in addition to, is on top of, is exactly what combines with criminal investigation, and criminal investigation, that's what's coming, is what's starting, is exactly what prosecutor is going to pursue, and pursuing it, that's what's happening, is what judge ordered, is exactly what means my father is facing charges. And charges, those are serious, are felonies, are exactly what could result in prison time, and prison time, that's possibility, is consequences, exactly what he's looking at as we stand, that's us leaving courtroom, is me walking out, is exactly what I do with Amanda beside me, and beside me, that's where she is where she's been, is exactly where she stays as we exit, and exit, that's through doors, is into hallway, is exactly where we stop, and stop, that's us pausing, is catching breath, is exactly when Amanda says you did it, and did it, that's past. Tense is accomplishment, is exactly what we achieved, and achieved, that's victory, is vindication, is exactly what I'm feeling, and feeling, that's complex, is mix of emotions, is exactly what includes relief and sadness, and something that might be grief, and grief, that's for relationship, is for father I thought I had, is exactly what I'm processing when doors open behind us, and behind us, that's courtroom, is where we just were, is exactly where my father is emerging, and emerging, that's him coming out, is him walking toward us, is exactly what makes Amanda step forward, and forward, that's protective, is defensive, is exactly what she does when my father approaches, and approaches, that's him getting close, is him stopping few feet away, is exactly when I see his face, and face his, that's different, is change, is exactly what shows defeat, and defeat, that's what this is what he's experiencing, is exactly what he's confronting, and confronting it, that's what this moment forces, is what he can't avoid, is exactly what's visible when he opens his mouth, and mouth, his, that's moving, is forming words, is exactly what produces sound, and sound, that's him saying, is him speaking, is exactly what's coming next. My father is standing in the courthouse hallway 3 feet away from me, 3 feet that feels like canyon, 3 feet that represents 29 years of distance that I'm only now seeing clearly. And seeing clearly, that's what this moment provides, is what defeat on his face reveals, is exactly what I'm witnessing when his mouth opens, when sound comes out, when he says, Catherine, we need to talk, and talk. That word, that's what he wants, is what he thinks will happen, is exactly what I'm not obligated to give him, and giving him anything, that's what I've done for years, is what I've stopped doing, is exactly what Amanda reinforces when she steps between us, when she says, Mr. Henderson, you need to leave, and leave, that's instruction, is requirement, is exactly what he should do, and should do, that's what's appropriate, is what's necessary, is exactly what he doesn't do, and doesn't do, that's him staying, is him persisting, is exactly what makes him say, I just need 5 minutes and 5 minutes, that's what he's requesting, is what he thinks he deserves, is exactly what shows he still doesn't understand, and understand what he doesn't grasp, that's how boundaries work, is that no means no, is exactly what I demonstrate when I say no. And no, that's complete sentence, is full response, is exactly what my therapist taught me to say, and taught me, that's Dr. Sarah Kim, is professional I've been seeing, is exactly who prepared me for this moment, and moment. This, that's confrontation, is test, is exactly what she said would come, and coming it did, is happening now, is exactly what I'm navigating when my father's face changes, when expression shifts, when he says, you're really going to do this, you're going to destroy your own father, and father, that word, that's weapon again, is manipulation again, is exactly what I'm immune to now, and immune to it, that's what therapy did, is what boundaries created, is exactly what allows me to say I'm not destroying you. Dad, you destroyed yourself, and yourself, that's accurate, is truth, is exactly what judge ruled, and ruled, that's what happened, is what evidence proved, is exactly what he can't deny, and denying it, that's what he tries anyway. Is what he attempts when he says this is all a misunderstanding, and misunderstanding, that word, that's gaslighting, is rewriting reality, is exactly what I recognize, and recognizing it, that's growth, is progress, is exactly what allows me to say the judge didn't think it was a misunderstanding, the prosecutor won't think it's a misunderstanding, the evidence doesn't suggest it's a misunderstanding. And misunderstanding, that claim, that's dismissed, is invalid, is exactly what my response demonstrates, and demonstrates, that's my clarity, is my strength, is exactly what makes his face do something I've never seen before. And before, never, he's always been certain, always been confident, always been exactly in control. And control, that's what he's lost, is what this moment shows, is exactly what makes him say in voice that's different, that's smaller, that's almost pleading, what about Tyler? And Tyler, my brother, that's who he's thinking about, is who he's protecting, is exactly who he mentions, and mentioning him, that's revealing, is telling, is exactly what shows even now, even in defeat, even facing criminal charges, he's still prioritizing Tyler. And prioritizing Tyler, that's been pattern, has been constant, has been exactly what I'm no longer participating in. And participating in it, that's what I refuse, is what I deny, is exactly what I demonstrate when I say Tyler made his own choices. And choices, those were to pawn your metal, to use stolen money to participate in fraud, and fraud, that's what it was, is what evidence showed, is exactly what makes him complicit. And complicit, that word, that's legal term, is serious designation, is exactly what Tyler is, and that's fact, is reality, is exactly what my father can't protect him from. And protecting him, that's what he's always done, has been his priority, has been exactly what's enabled Tyler's behavior. And behavior, Tyler's, that's entitlement, is laziness, is exactly what's been created by never facing consequences. And consequences, those they're coming now, are unavoidable now, are exactly what both of them are facing. And facing them, that's what's happening, is what's required, is exactly what I'm watching when my father tries one more approach. When he says, what if I apologize? What if I make this right and make this right? That phrase, that's interesting, is revealing, is exactly what shows he thinks this is fixable. And fixable, it's not, is beyond repair. Is exactly what I explain when I say, Dad, you didn't just make a mistake. You filed a lawsuit designed to destroy my career. You forged signatures, you stole money, you blame me for crimes you committed, and committed those crimes, they're not erasable, aren't fixable with apology, are exactly what require legal consequences. And consequences, legal ones, those are happening, are in motion, are exactly what prosecutor is pursuing. And pursuing them, that's inevitable, is certain, is exactly what makes my father's shoulders drop, and drop, that's visible, is physical, is exactly what shows defeat settling in. And settling in, that's what's happening, is what I'm watching, is exactly what occurs when he says voice that's barely audible, I did it for Tyler. And Tyler, there it is, there's confession, there's exactly what I knew all along, and knew, that's understanding, is recognition, is exactly what's confirmed by his admission. And admission, that's what this is him acknowledging, is exactly what he continues when he says he needed the money. He was counting on me. I couldn't let him down, and let him down. That phrase, that's revealing, is telling, is exactly what shows his priorities. And priorities, those have always been Tyler, have never been me, have been exactly what this moment crystallizes. And crystallizing it, that's what this does, is making it undeniable, is exactly what allows me to say, you let me down every day of my life. Dad, you let me down when you favored Tyler, when you made me invisible, when you used me as ATM, when you tried to destroy my career to protect him. And protect him, that's what you chose, is what you always chose, is exactly what you're still choosing. And choosing, that's what he's doing, is what this conversation proves, is exactly what makes me understand that nothing has changed, nothing will change, nothing can change, because he doesn't see me. And seeing me, that's what he's never done, has never tried to do, has never been capable of doing. And doing it, that capacity that's missing, is absent, is exactly what makes relationship impossible. And impossible, that's what this is what it's always been, is exactly what I'm accepting when I say I'm done, Dad. And done, that's final, is definitive, is exactly what I mean when I continue, say I'm done being invisible, done being your backup plan, done being punished for Tyler's failures, done with all of it. And all of it, that's Everything is relationship is exactly what I'm ending, and ending it, that's my choice, is my decision, is exactly what I'm making when I turn to Amanda. When I say let's go and go, that's us leaving, is us walking away, is exactly what we do, and doing it, that's me choosing myself, is me prioritizing my safety, is exactly what's necessary and necessary. That's what this is what boundaries require. Is exactly what I'm practicing as we walk toward elevator. An elevator, that's exit, is escape, is exactly where we're heading when I hear him call my name. And name, mine, that's Catherine, is what he shouts, is exactly what makes me pause. And pause, that's me stopping, is me turning, is exactly what I do against my better judgment. And judgment, better, that would be keep walking, would be don't engage, would be exactly what I should do and should do. That's what I almost do, is what I'm about to do, is exactly what I'm doing when he says something that makes me freeze. And freeze, that's what happens, is what his words cause, is exactly what occurs when he says Tyler's wedding is off. And off, that's canceled, is not happening, is exactly what he announces. And announcing it, that's him revealing, is him sharing, is exactly what he continues when he says the venue found out about the lawsuit. They canceled the contract. Tyler's photographer is suing him for the deposit. And deposit, that's $16,800, is exactly what was stolen, is exactly what's now being reclaimed. And reclaimed, that's justice, is consequence, is exactly what should happen and happening. That's what is what's unfolding, is exactly what my father describes when he says Tyler is devastated. And devastated, that word, that's what he uses, is what he emphasizes, is exactly what he expects will move me. And moving me, that's what he hopes for, is what he's trying to accomplish, is exactly what doesn't work. And doesn't work, that's because I'm not responsible for Tyler's feelings, for his consequences, for his exactly what he created and created. That's what Tyler did, is what he brought on himself, is exactly what I say and say. That's my response, is my reaction, is exactly what I state when I say that's not my problem. And problem, Tyler's, that's his to solve, is his to manage, is exactly what I'm not fixing and fixing it. That's what my father wants, is what he's asking for, is exactly what he tries one more time when he says if you could just help with venue deposit. Just this once, and once, that's what he says, is what he claims, is exactly what shows he's learned nothing. And learn nothing, that's accurate assessment, is true evaluation, is exactly what this request proves. And proves, that's confirmation, is evidence, is exactly what I needed to hear to know I'm making right choice. And right choice, that's walking away, is ending contact, is exactly what I do when I say no. And no, that's final answer, is complete response, is exactly what I repeat when I turn back toward elevator. An elevator, that's opening, is arriving, is exactly what Amanda and I enter. And enter, that's us stepping in, is doors closing, is exactly what happens as my father stands in hallway. And hallway, that's where he remains, is where I leave him, is exactly where he belongs. And belongs, that's past, is history, is exactly what he represents. And representing past, that's all he is now, is all he'll ever be, is exactly what I understand as elevator descends. And descends, that's us going down, is us leaving courthouse, is exactly what's happening when Amanda says you did the right thing. And right thing, that's what I did, is what I'm doing, is exactly what I'm going to keep doing. And keep doing, that's commitment, is promise to myself, is exactly what I'm making as we exit building. And exit building, that's us walking into October afternoon, is us stepping into sunlight, is exactly when my phone rings. And rings, that's happening now, is occurring as we walk, is exactly when I see name on screen. And screen, that's showing Tyler, is displaying my brother's name, is exactly what makes me look at Amanda. And Amanda, she sees my face, sees my hesitation, sees exactly what I'm considering. And considering, that's whether to answer, is whether to engage, is exactly what she addresses when she says you don't owe him anything. And anything that's true, is accurate, is exactly what I know intellectually. And intellectually, that's in my mind, is what I understand, is exactly what's fighting with something else. And something else, that's emotion, is old pattern, is exactly what makes me answer despite knowing better. And knowing better, that's what I do know, is what I should follow, is exactly what I ignore when I say hello. And hello, that's neutral, is careful, is exactly what Tyler doesn't reciprocate when he says how could you do this to me. And me, that's him, is his perspective, is exactly what shows he still doesn't understand. And understand what he doesn't grasp, that's his role in this, is his responsibility, is exactly what I address when I say I didn't do anything to you. Tyler, you did this to yourself, and yourself, that's accurate, is true, is exactly what he can't accept. And accepting it, that's what he won't do, is what he refuses when he says you ruined my wedding. You destroyed my life. You turned dad against me. And against him, that's interesting phrase, is revealing statement, is exactly what shows how he sees this and sees this. His perspective, that's distorted, is self-centered, is exactly what I address when I say, Tyler, you pawned dad's medal, you used stolen money, you participated in fraud. And fraud, that's what happened, is what evidence proved, is exactly what makes him go quiet. And quiet, that silence, that's recognition, is acknowledgement, is exactly what precedes his next statement. And next statement, that's different, is shift, is exactly what he says when his voice changes and changes. That's from angry to something else, is from defensive to something that might be. Pleading and pleading, that's what I hear when he says, can't you just help this once? And once, that word again, that qualifier again, is exactly what shows nothing has changed. And change, nothing has, is what this request proves, is exactly what makes me understand that Tyler, like my father, is stuck in pattern. And pattern, that's expecting me to fix things, is assuming I'll bail him out, is exactly what I'm done with. And done with it, that's what I am, is what I'm demonstrating, is exactly what I do when I say no, Tyler. And no, that's answer, is complete response, is exactly what I repeat before hanging up. And hanging up, that's me ending call, is me establishing boundary, is exactly what I do. And doing it, that feels powerful, feels right, feels exactly like I'm finally prioritizing myself. And prioritizing myself, that's new behavior, is growth, is exactly what Amanda acknowledges when she says, I'm proud of you. And proud, that word, that's what I needed to hear, is what I've never heard from my father, is exactly what makes my eyes burn. And burning, that's tears threatening, is emotion rising, is exactly what I'm managing when we reach parking lot. And parking lot, that's where cars are, is where we're separating, is exactly when Amanda says, what's next for you? And next, that's future, is what's coming, is exactly what I haven't thought about and thought about it. That's what I need to do, is what I'm starting to do, is exactly what begins when I say, I'm going to go home. And home, that's house with new locks, is space that's mine, is exactly where I belong. And belonging there, that's what I feel, is what's true, is exactly what's different from belonging in family. And family, that word, that's complicated now, is redefined now, is exactly what I'm understanding means something different. And different, that's what I need, is what I'm choosing, is exactly what I'm going to create. I'm driving home from courthouse, driving through and arbor streets that look different somehow, look clearer, look exactly like they're part of life that's mine now and mine. That's what this is what I'm claiming, is exactly what I'm feeling as I pull into driveway of house with new locks. And new locks, they're symbolic, are meaningful, are exactly what represents everything that's changed. And change, that's what has happened, is what's occurred over past 3 months, is exactly what started with wedding day. And wedding day, that's when this began, is when I sent $1, is exactly when I established first boundary. And first boundary, that's what it was, is what led to all others, is exactly what's brought me to this moment. And moment, that's me walking through front door, is me entering space that's completely mine, is exactly what feels different from any other time I've entered this house. And house, that's been mine legally for 3 years, but mine emotionally for only 3 months. And 3 months, that's timeline, is duration, is exactly what it took to transform ownership from paper to reality. And reality, that's what this is what I'm living, is exactly what I'm experiencing as I set my keys on counter. And counter, that's granite surface, is where my father's key once sat, is exactly where only my keys rest now. And my keys, they're new, are from new locks, are exactly what represents security. And security, that's what I have, is what I built, is exactly what nobody can take away. And taking away, that's what they tried, is what they attempted, is exactly what they failed to do and failed. That's what happened, is what court proved, is exactly what judge ruled and ruled. That's victory, is vindication, is exactly what I'm processing as I walk through house. And house, mine, that's what I keep thinking, is phrase that keeps repeating, is exactly what I'm claiming with every step. And steps, they take me to bedroom, to closet, to box I've been avoiding. And avoiding, that's what I've done, is what I've been doing, is exactly what I stopped doing when I opened box labeled mom 2019. And 2019, that's year she died, is year I lost her, is exactly when I gained something else. And something else, that's understanding, is clarity, is exactly what her death revealed about family dynamics. And family dynamics, they're toxic, have always been toxic, have been exactly what her presence masked. And masked, that's what she did, is what her peacekeeping accomplished, is exactly what allowed abuse to continue hidden, and hidden, that's what it was, is what I didn't see is exactly what I'm seeing now, and seeing now, that's retrospect, is hindsight, is exactly what allows me to understand that my mother, kind as she was, gentle as she was, complicit as she was, and complicit, that word, that's hard, is painful, is exactly what's true, and true, that's what matters, is what I'm facing, is exactly what I find in box, and box, that's full of her things, is containing her papers, is exactly where I discover envelope, and envelope, that's letter, is something I haven't seen before, is exactly what's addressed to me in her handwriting, and handwriting, hers, that's distinctive, is familiar, is exactly what makes my hand shake as I open it, and open it, that's what I do, is revealing letter, is exactly what I read, and reading, that's what happens, is what breaks my heart, is exactly what her words do when they say, Catherine, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I need to tell you things I should have said while I was alive, and alive. That's when she should have said them, is when I needed to hear them, is exactly what makes this letter both gift and grief. And grief, that's what I feel, is what rises in chest, is exactly what accompanies her words as she continues. I knew what your father was doing, knew how he favored Tyler, knew how he used you. And used you, that acknowledgement, that's devastating, is validating, is exactly what I needed to hear. And hearing it, that's what's happening, is what's occurring as I read. I should have stopped him, should have protected you, should have chosen you over keeping peace. And keeping peace, that's what she did, is what she prioritized, is exactly what enabled abuse. And enabled abuse, that's what her silence did, is what her peacekeeping accomplished, is exactly what she's acknowledging. And acknowledging it, that's brave, is honest, is exactly what comes too late, and too late, that's timing, is when this revelation comes, is exactly what makes it both precious and painful. And painful, that's what I feel, is what's mixing with relief, is exactly what's complicated as I continue reading. The life insurance policy, I changed the beneficiary to you because I knew you'd use it wisely, knew Tyler would waste it, knew your father would let him, that's what would have happened, is what she prevented, is exactly what she explains next. I signed the power of attorney because I trusted you, because I knew you'd make right decisions, because I wanted you to have control, and control, that's what she gave me, is what she trusted me with, is exactly what my father tried to use against me. And against me, that's what lawsuit was, is what court just dismissed, is exactly what this letter proves was always meant to be mine, and mine, that authority, that trust, that's what she intended, is what she documented, is exactly what her letter confirms, and confirming it, that's giving me peace, is providing closure, is exactly what continues as I read final paragraph. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. Sorry I didn't stand up to your father. Sorry I let you bear burden of being invisible daughter. An invisible daughter, that's what I was, is what she saw, is exactly what she's naming, and naming it, that's acknowledgement, is recognition, is exactly what I've needed and needed it. That's validation, is confirmation that I wasn't crazy, wasn't oversensitive, wasn't exactly what they tried to make me believe I was, and believe I was, that's what they wanted, is what gaslighting attempts, is exactly what this letter proves was false, and false. Their narrative, that's what it was, is what it always was, is exactly what my mother's words confirm. You were never the problem. Catherine, you were always enough. You were always worthy, and you deserve so much better than what we gave you, and gave you what they gave me. That's neglect dressed as normalcy, is abuse. Disguised as family, is exactly what I'm finally naming, and naming it, that's power, is healing, is exactly what allows me to set letter down, and down, that's on bed, is where it rests, is exactly where I leave it as I walk to bathroom. And bathroom, that's where mirror is where I look at myself, is exactly when I see something different, and different, that's my face, is my expression, is exactly what shows strength instead of defeat, and defeat, that's what they expected, is what they counted on, is exactly what they didn't get, and didn't get it, that's because I fought, is because I documented, is exactly because I refused to accept their narrative, and narrative, that's fiction, was always fiction, was exactly what I'm replacing with truth, and truth. Mine, that's what I'm living, is what I'm speaking, is exactly what I'm going to continue doing, and doing, that's future, is commitment, is exactly what I'm making as I hear doorbell. And doorbell, that's ringing, is sounding, is exactly what makes me walk to door, and door, mine, that's with new locks, is what I control, is exactly what I look through peephole to see, and see, that's Marcus, is my husband, is exactly who I'm letting in, and letting in, that's choice, is decision, is exactly what I make when I open door, and door that opens to him, to his arms, to exactly what home feels like, and feels like, that's safety, is love. is exactly what real family provides, and provides, that's what he does, is what he's been doing, is exactly what he continues when he says, I heard Amanda called me, told me what happened in court, and court, that's victory, is what he's referencing, is exactly what he knows about and knows about. That's because I share with him, is because he's partner is exactly what my father never was, and never was that supportive, was present, was exactly what Marcus is, and is that's current, is ongoing, is exactly what he demonstrates when he says, I'm proud of you. And proud, that word again, that validation again, is exactly what makes tears come, and come, they do, are flowing now, are exactly what I've been holding back. And holding back, that's what I was doing, is what I maintained through courthouse, is exactly what I release now. And release, that's what happens, is crying, is exactly what Marcus holds me through. And through, that's duration, is time, is exactly what he gives me, and gives me that space to feel, is permission to grieve, is exactly what I need and need. That's acknowledgement, is validation, is exactly what I express when tears slow, when breathing steadies, when I can speak and speak. That's what I do, is telling him everything, is exactly what unfolds over next hour and hour. That's time we spend, is conversation we have, is exactly what happens at kitchen table and kitchen table. That's where we sit, is where I show him letter, is exactly where I explain what it means, and means, that's validation, is confirmation, is exactly what I'm processing, and processing, that's ongoing, is continuing, is exactly what Marcus helps with when he says your mother saw you. Even if she couldn't protect you, she saw you, and saw you, that's important, is meaningful, is exactly what I needed to hear. And hearing it, that's helping, is processing, is exactly what allows me to say I think I need to do something. And something, that's idea, is forming, is exactly what I'm about to explain. And explain, that's what I do, is telling Marcus about my father's medal. And medal, that's firefighter award, is what Tyler pawned, is exactly what I'm thinking about, and thinking about it, that strategic, is purposeful, is exactly what I propose when I say I want to buy it back. And back, that's from pawn shop, is reclaiming it, is exactly what Marcus asks about and asks, that's why, is what for, is exactly what makes me explain, and explain, that's what I do, is saying I want to donate it to Firefighter Museum. Want it displayed in my mother's name. Wanted to honor actual sacrifice instead of false pride and false pride. That's what my father had, is what he's lost, is exactly what this gesture addresses and addresses. That's purpose, is meaning, is exactly what Marcus understands when he nods. When he says, let's go get it and get it, that's what we do, is what happens next, is exactly what unfolds when we drive to pawn shop. And pawn shop, that's in Detroit, is 40 minutes away, is exactly where we arrive at closing time. And closing time, that's 6 p.m., is when we get there, is exactly when we walk in, and walk in, that's us entering, is approaching counter, is exactly when I say I'm here about firefighter medal. And medal, that's item, is what I'm purchasing, is exactly what clerk retrieves, and retrieves, that's in bringing it, is showing it, is exactly when I see it, and see it, that's medal in case, is award my father earned, is exactly what Tyler sold, and sold. That's for $16,800, is what price was, is exactly what I paid to. Reclaim it and reclaim it. That's what I do, is purchasing it, is exactly what happens when I hand over credit card, and credit card mine, that's payment, is transaction, is exactly what completes, and completes, that's ownership transferring, is metal becoming mine, is exactly what happens when clerk hands me case, and case, that's velvet box, is container, is exactly what I'm holding as we leave. And leave, that's us exiting, is driving to museum, is exactly what we do next. And next, that stop, is destination, is exactly where we arrive 30 minutes later. And later, that's evening, is after hours, is exactly why we make appointment for tomorrow. And tomorrow, that's when I return, is when I donate metal, is exactly what I do the following morning. And morning, that's Tuesday, is bright day, is exactly when I walk into Michigan Firefighter Museum. And museum, that's building, is institution, is exactly where I meet curator. And curator, that's woman named Patricia Wells, is person who accepts donation, is exactly who I explain to. And explain, that's what I do, is telling her this medal belonged to my father, that I wanted displayed in my mother's name, that I wanted to honor Rebecca Henderson, paramedic, wife, woman who endured. And endured, that's what my mother did, is what she survived, is exactly what deserves recognition. And recognition, that's what this provides, is what Patricia agrees to, is exactly what she arranges. And arranges, that's display, is plaque, is exactly what will read Rebecca Henderson, for quiet bravery and steadfast service. And service, that's what my mother gave, is what she provided, is exactly what deserves memorial. And memorial, that's what this becomes, is what this represents, is exactly what I'm creating. And creating it, that's honoring her, is acknowledging her, is exactly what feels right. And right, that's what this is correct action, is exactly what I'm certain of as I leave museum and leave. That's me walking out, is me driving home, is exactly what I'm doing when my phone rings again, and rings, that's happening, is my father calling, is exactly what I see on screen, and screen, that's phone display, is showing his name, is exactly what I decline, and decline, that's pressing button, is refusing call, is exactly what I do, and do, that's boundary, is choice, is exactly what I'm maintaining, and maintaining it, that's ongoing, is continuous, is exactly what's required, and required, that's what boundaries demand, is what healing needs, is exactly what I'm committed to, and committed, that's my stance, is my position, is exactly what I demonstrate over next weeks, and weeks, those they pass, turn into months, turn into exactly what becomes new normal, and normal, new one, that's life without them, is existence without toxicity, is exactly what I'm building, and building it, that's what I'm doing, is creating family of choice, is exactly what happens when I start spending more time with Marcus's family, and family, they're different, are warm, are exactly what family should be, and should be, that's loving, is supportive, is exactly what I'm experiencing at Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving, that's holiday, is first one without biological family, is exactly what happens 2 months after court, and court, that's victory, is memory, is exactly what I'm thinking about as I sit at Marcus's parents' table, and table, that's full, is crowded, is exactly what includes me, and includes me, that's what they do, is how they treat me, is exactly what real family feels like, and feels like, that's belonging, is acceptance, is exactly what I'm experiencing when Marcus's mother Diane says grace. And grace, that's prayer, is blessing, is exactly what includes line about being grateful for family we choose, and choose, that word, that's pointed, is meaningful, is exactly what she says while looking at me, and looking at me, that's acknowledgement, is inclusion, is exactly what makes my eyes burn again, and burn, that's emotion, is tears threatening, is exactly what I manage when I squeeze Marcus's hand, and hand, that's under table, is holding mine, is exactly what grounds me, and grounds me, that's what he does, is what he's always done, is exactly what makes this bearable, and bearable, that's what this is what grief becomes, is exactly what healing looks like, and looks like, that's progress, is growth, is exactly what I'm experiencing, and experiencing it, that's journey, is process, is exactly what continues over next year, and year, that's duration, is time, is exactly what passes before I hear from my father again, and again, that's after criminal trial, is after conviction, is exactly what happens when he's sentenced, and sentence, that's legal consequence, is court ruling, is exactly what results in probation, is community service, is exactly what judge orders, and orders, that's punishment, is restitution, is exactly what includes paying my legal fees, and legal fees, those he pays them all $35,000, pays them exactly as ordered, and ordered, that's what judge required, is what court demanded, is exactly what happened, and happened, that's past, is over, is exactly what brings letter, and letter, that's what arrives, is what I receive, is exactly what I'm holding now, and now, that's present, is moment, is exactly when I'm sitting in my living room, and living room, mine, that space I've made my own, is room I've filled with things I chose, is exactly where I'm reading letter from my father, and father, mine, his words are different now, are changed, are exactly what shows defeat, and defeat, that's what he's experienced, is what he's living with, is exactly what his letter acknowledges, and acknowledges, that's what he does, is writing, Catherine, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, and forgiveness, that's what he's asking for, is what letter is about, is exactly what I'm not obligated to give, and give, that's my choice, is my decision, is exactly what I'm considering as I read. I lost everything, lost my reputation, lost Tyler's respect, lost you, and you, that's me, is what he's acknowledging losing, is exactly what he's claiming matters, and matters, that's questionable, is uncertain, is exactly what I'm doubting as I read. I'm in therapy now, court ordered, and I'm seeing things differently and differently, that's what he claims, is what he says he's doing, is exactly what I hope is true but don't trust, and trust, that's what's broken, is what's gone, is exactly what can't be rebuilt, and rebuilt, that's impossible, is unrealistic, is exactly what I understand as I read his final line. I don't expect you to respond, I just needed you to know I'm sorry, and sorry, that word, that's what he's saying, is what he's claiming, is exactly what I'm reading, and reading it, that's what I do, is processing it, is exactly what I'm finishing when I fold letter, and fold it, that's putting it away, is placing. It in drawer is exactly what I do before walking to kitchen, and kitchen, mine, that's where Marcus is where life continues, is exactly where I belong, and belonging, that's what I have now, is what I've built, is exactly what matters more than apology that came too late, and too late, that's what it is what timing makes it, is exactly what I understand as I look at Marcus, and Marcus, he looks back, asks if I'm okay, and okay, that's what I am, is what I'm becoming, is exactly what I say when I answer yes, I'm okay, I'm exactly where I need to be and need to be. That's here, is this life, is exactly what I've built from ruins of family that never saw me and seeing me. That's what I do now, is what I've learned, is exactly what matters, and matching. That's me to myself, is my own recognition, is exactly what I've claimed, and claimed, that's ownership, is power, is exactly what nobody can take away. And taking away, that's what they tried, is what they failed to do, is exactly what makes this victory complete, and complete, that's what this is ending, that's also beginning, is exactly what my story represents, and represents, that's hope for anyone who's been invisible daughter, who's been family ATM, who's been exactly what I was and was, that's past tense, is who I'm not anymore, is exactly what you don't have to be either, and either, that's choice, is decision, is exactly what I'm telling you to make, and make it, that's your power, is your right, is exactly what you deserve, and deserve, that's freedom, is peace, is exactly what comes from saying no, from changing locks, from walking away, from choosing yourself, and yourself, that's who matters, is who you need to save, is exactly who's worth fighting for, and fighting for yourself, that's not selfish, is survival, is exactly what I did and did, that's victory, is transformation, is exactly what you can do too, and two, that's you, is your story, is exactly what I hope you'll write, and write it, that's your future, is your choice, is exactly what you deserve to claim.